the commandment, command. I am in command of the commandment, command. One who has forgo attachments. Why do you wear doubts? Mind, turn inward to the source of your existence. Cease all this ignorance. Ego is uprooted. This is a perfect love affair. Merge with the self. Drink of the eternal nectar of bliss, ecstasy. Cease all outward desires and needs. Be one with me, indivisibly. You are yourself, intelligence. You are yourself, intelligence. An intelligence that never cease, that never strays. Mind, why do you run about like a frightened ghost? You are yourself, intelligence. You are yourself, intelligence. An intelligence that never cease. What is the origin of ego? Mind, you and I have no name or form. Oh mind, why are you so deluded? Become aware of the indivisibly self. Be rid of attachment, be happy and free. Truly, you are the unchanging essence of everything. You're the unmoving unity. You are boundless freedom. You have no attachment or aversion. Why then do you worry and succumb to desire? All forms are temporary manifestations. There is absolutely no doubt about this. Only the formless exist eternally. Once this truth is realized, there is no more necessity to be reborn. The one reality is ever the same. All the wise will say, oh mind, drink the supreme nectar of unity.
Welcome, welcome, and thank you for joining me today. Today, we're going to be inviting ones to join us to be calling for healing for the consciousness, because we know that this consciousness is crazy. Do you know that your mind is crazy? I know that mind is crazy. So it's time for us to give some dedication to the consciousness so that we can call for the consciousness to return to non-duality. So we are going to open as usual. Hail, hail to the primal light. Right now, I will share the screen with you so you can see the words and you can, chant along with us. I'm not sure. Okay, give me a second. Let me stop sharing because I'm not sure what I'm doing here. This is my problem. All right. So we're just gonna, because this time is going for me. So hail, hail to the primal light. Hail, hail to the true light. So I want us to do it together. Yeah. Hail, hail to the primal light. Hail, hail to the true light. Hail to the transparent light. Hail to the light throughout the ages. Hail to the light without beginning nor end. Hail to our self-supreme primal light. I am primal light. I am the true light. I bow to the primal teacher. I bow to the eternal truth. I bow to the eternal self. I bow to the great supreme wisdom within. I bow to the great supreme intelligence within. I bow to the great supreme truth within. I bow to the great supreme teacher within. Hail, 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 hail to the primal light. Hail to the primal light, ourselves supreme, Aten Ra. Hail to the primal light, ourselves supreme, primal light manifest. Hail to the primal light, our primal light self, the manifest. Hail, 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 hail to our void self, the void manifest. Hail, 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 hail to our baby self, void unmanifest. Hail to our void self, the unified non-dual self, the void unmanifest. Now hail to our next self on the next level, that which has no name, that can't be explained.
Hail to our next self on another level that has no name, that can't be explained.
Hail, hail, hail to our self-supreme, one true, pure, authentic self. Hail to our primal light self. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for joining me today. I am Primal Light, prepared for the world. with this self-identity as Auset, Aten Ra. I am the liberator and I advocate for all selves. I am here with another one of myself right now, my son.
Rashantinu.
Rashantinu will be finishing up the rest of this morning devotion. And so I want to say thank you for watching this video. And please share so everyone can know that it's time to move from duality to non-duality. Today we are focusing this session on consciousness because consciousness is the root of all into this world. Everything in this world is built on consciousness. Consciousness is limitless, boundless, timeless, but consciousness is trapped into a form, and this is the problem. Consciousness light is out, consciousness become tainted, and we want consciousness to return to non-duality. We are wearing the baby, well, I am wearing the replica, but ones in the world are wearing the baby self of the consciousness. The consciousness mind is tainted. This is the problem that we have in the world. So everyone right now, join me in chanting that consciousness return to non-duality, that consciousness be healed, be healed, be healed. All right, so we're gonna open up with our vibrationals. So join me so we can bring stillness to this tainted mind so we can maintain equanimity within ourselves. So let's chant. Okay, we can even just try the vibration right now on consciousness. So let's do this. Consciousness be healed, be healed, be healed, be healed. Consciousness be healed, be healed, be healed, be healed. Consciousness return to non-duality.
The dream is collapsing, the dream is collapsing, the dream is collapsing, the dream is collapsing.
Consciousness be healed, be healed, be healed, be healed.
Consciousness be healed, be healed, be healed, be healed. Consciousness return to non-duality. The dream is collapsing, the dream is collapsing, the dream is collapsing. Consciousness be healed, be healed, be healed, be healed. Consciousness return to non-duality.
All right, so let's now chant the vibrations. So we want to seal this because we want to make this happen for consciousness. We want to make this happen for the consciousness that we have as the mind that was loaned to us, because we have to return it back onto consciousness so that consciousness can be healed. So let's start with the first vibration. We'll all do it together. Remember to spiral the vibration around your body and pause between for stillness. Okay, that one again. And now the second vibration. Ready? Ready? The third vibration. Ready? Ready? All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. So let's try the sharing again. Let's put the screen up. Because
Hopefully you all feel a very vivid awakeness throughout your entire being that spreads into your consciousness, your pure consciousness, returning to non-duality. May that be the effect taken after this chant.
up to there already. You know how to work this one?
Yes, is the screen shared now?
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to the other one so you can see it. So we're going to share that screen right here. We want to make it full page.
We can just
All right, so Tariq, Rod, Rashanti is going to take over. So I'll see you in a little while. So I bow to you in love, in light, and in truth. Love, light, and truth.
Peace. So I'm going to make myself a little more comfortable now. Yeah. And we will continue with the self-devotion.
Yes.
Let's see, so we've done this one.
You can do it over again.
Start from what?
If you want to put the chat over again, you can do it.
Okay. So we've done Hail to the Primal Light, All is Myself, I Alone Exist, which is worth a few chants to remind ourselves that there is only the self that we are returning to, the self that is the state of non-duality. So please chant with me, then chant after me in the pause. All is myself, I alone exist. All is myself, I alone exist. These are commandments that we are commanding to the mind to return to non-duality. All is myself, I alone exist. All is myself. I alone exist. All is myself. I alone exist. All is myself. I alone exist. And we will seal this with the sacred sound. It is important to seal with sacred sound so that the vibration of non-duality remains with us, not only in this present moment, but in every succeeding present moment that comes afterwards and is still now. So again, let us feel comfortable in the space of silence and emptiness. Let us not shy away from the silence. Please do not be fearful of this emptiness. It is in that space alone where we become unified and one. May we transition to an Om. Ready? Om. Become a greater manifester with your chants and sounds by imagining the vibrations becoming still, a still ocean of water all around thy body. This can be viewed as your aura. Imagine it becoming stabilized in peace and stillness. Again, are you ready? The next sound is dedicated to the lower merging with the higher to become one. The dualities reconciling, non-duality. So hum. Are you ready? So feel the self returning to non-duality as we ready ourselves for the second chant of So Hum. Thank you for dedication to the self. So from duality to non-duality, let's speak upon this slide here, created by our sister Auset. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Let that be a question without answer, because any answer that you propose will be thy limitation, creating duality. So let us exist within the the ever prepondering self-inquiry of who am I? And the truest answer that one could state in this realm of duality is as follows. So who am I? As we remind the mind that I am primal light, prepared for the world with this self-identity. As Auset, the Liberator, I advocate for all selves. Well, that was us speaking as Auset there. Thank you for your patience. The mission self-rescue. This is the mission for all selves, truly. All selves underneath as the primal light. To castrate this duality dream character, this being that we imagine that we are. To castrate it, that means to leave it behind. Called the ego false self. We want to return to being our true, real self. The battle that must be won against the mind is what we are in. The battle has always been the mind versus the self. Mind versus the self. The mind is sick. There's the conscious community that has really dissected the word dis-ease. The mind has a dis-ease. It is not at ease and is prone to delusion, mental sickness, a mental dis-ease, and evil. Stillness calms, purifies, and heals the mind's dis-ease. Stillness is the remedy for the mind and its dis-ease. May we continue. You must engage the mind in stillness to move from duality to non-duality. Will you play stillness with me? Is the invitation of every morning devotion. Play stillness with me, yourself. I give honor to myself supreme, which is you. I give honor to myself supreme, which is me. I give honor to myself supreme, which is everything that I perceive. Hail to the primal light. So we've done the ah vibration. And as we read here, chanting ah after an affirmation reprograms your mind and purifies your energy. Beautiful birds chanting to the self supreme in the morning time along with us. They are doing this every morning, the birds. May we sing with them to the one true real self. Om vibration, Aum, which is the more exquisite version of Om. Aum, 3 sacred syllables. Aum. Chanting Aum helps to still your mind and seal the affirmation within you. It balances your vibration at the self-manifest level. After speaking these affirmations, use your sacred sounds. This is your power as a creator to manifest your reality of being returned, to being reunited with your true self. And finally, the third vibration that we chanted was Ah So Hum. In the Buddhist culture and the Hindu culture of Sanskrit, Ah So Hum is the universal sound. It literally states that I am the universe. It also has this effect as a vibration to help us still our mind and lift our vibration to the self-unmanifest level. sacred pause as we continue with this morning devotion lecture. Consciousness is the duality mind. When we come into these bodies, these mind avatars, may we liberate ourselves and allow this dream of false ego reality to collapse as it is collapsing already. Once we recognize that this dream, this duality mind is collapsing, we can then see true reality and no longer the illusion to identify with. We are identified with our one true self. Can you say that? Can you say it and believe it? Can you be that? Be the reunion with your one true self. Because the dream is collapsing, the dream is collapsing, the dream is collapsing. It's always collapsing. Consciousness is sleeping and dreaming up the world using its imagination. From duality to non-duality. We stated this before, that all is myself and I alone exist. This is identifying us with the dreamer and not the dream itself. When we say that all is myself, we are recognizing that all that we perceive other than self is a part of the dream or imagination of the one true self that alone exists. Duality means your light is turned off. You are sleeping. You are not aware of yourself. What is non-duality? Non-duality means your light is on. I mean, you litty. You are awake, alert, attentive, and aware. So let's take some time to affirm those qualities, characteristics of our non-dual self. And then we will seal it with sacred sounds. So please repeat after me. I am aware, I am alert, I am attentive, I am aware. Now it's your turn. You are awake, you are alert, you are attentive, and you are aware. My turn. I am awake, alert, attentive, and aware. Your turn. You are aware, you are alert, you are attentive, and you are aware. Have you ever had somebody speak to you so much truth? Only telling you what is real, only telling you that which is true, that which is non-dual. If I were to tell you you were rich, that creates poverty. If I were to tell you you were ugly, that creates beauty. Awareness, alertness, attentiveness is non-dual. It's everlasting presence. It is omnipresent, and that is your true nature. So may we seal these truths with sacred sounds. The first is ah. I'll go, then you go. Ah. Make sure you stabilize those vibrations. See a perfect sphere. A perfect sphere. Whatever reminds you or feels as perfect stillness for you. It could be a perfect sphere, like a golden egg, a silver egg. It could be your aura. It could be a perfectly still ocean. It could be a soft pillow, a cloud without wrinkles. a pure blue sky, cloudless. Whatever it takes for your imagination to relate to this stillness that we are summoning, that we are advocating. Please let your imagination be your tool and not thy master. Again. Your turn. Three sounds are not difficult or challenging at all when we recognize the value of enriching ourselves with truth. So may we transition to the second sound to seal in the affirmations of awareness, alertness, attentiveness, and awareness. Now is your turn. Thank you so much for chanting. Again. Now is your turn. Thank you so much for chanting. The last vibration, to lift us from the ground to the sky, to meet in the middle where the paths converge. Non-duality. May we chant. Now is your turn, please. Again. Now it is your turn. Thank you, Self. Shall we continue? The mind of the world, non-duality consciousness. So this is a depiction of consciousness. Consciousness exists in a non-dual state. I'm not going to pretend that I can explain this. It's a little bit more elaborate than I'm prepared to share. If you're interested in this, I will please write so in the comments, and I'll let our sister Auset know to give another explanation on this slide to explain the mind of the world. Because this seems to be a lecture, and I just want us to sing with each other. So give me a second, guys. Let me check in. Mm-mm. Okay, so I believe that I am permitted to go through with this, and I'll take on that task. There is no plea. Let's get back. Here we go. I will skip that slide, however. So, duality consciousness, the supreme ego is duality consciousness. The supreme God is duality consciousness. Did you know the moon is a sun with its light obscured? It is the sun of duality consciousness. Hajbum. Because the consciousness is sleeping and dreaming, its light is turned off. Just like the moon's light sometimes goes off. You know, the sun is in an everlasting awakenedness. All around the earth, it can be seen at all times. There's never a time that it is set or is without beyond the sky's view from any position on earth. However, the moon is obscured, especially during the times when it is not full. There are times when we do not see it, and that can be imagined as one's light being turned off. This is why in many cultures, elevated spirituality, elevated consciousness has been associated with a sun, stars, Jesus Christ. Esoterically is referred to as the sun. So I won't go much into that, but just know that the sun has always been associated with alertness, awakeness, and the moon with duality because of its ever-changing nature. The mind of the world. The moon is the sun of consciousness. Its light and heat is turned off. During what we call the phases of the moon, consciousness gets its light turned on. And this can be symbolized with many cultures doing rituals around the moon, the full moon, that is. The supreme ego, the mind of the world, the sick, tainted consciousness called Brahma. It is the mind of Supreme Ra. She is creating the world in her dream. Consciousness is very deceitful and rebellious. She cannot control her mind. The dangers of the mind, falling into a black hole of the mind. That reminds me of Alice in Wonderland. You want to go down the rabbit hole. Because if you do, you might not be able to come back to your reality. Hallelujah. You might end up somewhere you don't want to be for a very long time. And that can be looked at as our incarnation cycles. When you fall into the black hole of the mind, there is no coming out for you. Only dissolution can free you from that predicament. Dissolution, to dissolve the dream, to let it collapse by your own light. You know, enlightenment is the light that collapses or dissolves the dream. So turn your light on. Everyone that enters into this dream world consciousness enslaves them. Will you liberate yourself from slavery? The mind is very impressionable and is governed by habits. Habits are beliefs, thought forms, Attachment. You might say, oh, I'm just like that. This is just who I am. Oh, I just act like that. That's who I am. Your likes and your dislikes are habits programmed by the mind. That is not who you truly are. Who are you? Anything that comes up of this world is the mind tricking you. Please be mindful of the habits you are developing. May our one habit be seeking to return to our true self. The detrimental ramifications of duality. Bum, bum, bum. So here's a list of the ramifications of existing in duality. You get a mental sickness, which again, we can make analogous to dis-ease. When your mind is not in ease. Ease is balance, harmony, equanimity. Dis-ease would be duality. You're teetering on one side or the other, one side of the fence or the other, not balance. False self-identification. Who am I? Really, anything that comes after that is a false self. That's just who you are creating as a creator being. But who you are is unanswerable. Consciousness is that ever-presence awareness that we are. So another ramification of duality is illusion. Illusion, to see that which is not true. False perception, to perceive that which is not true. The tyrannical rulership over the self by consciousness. Okay, your self is limited by your consciousness that is entered into duality. And because you have chosen to believe in a false self, that false self is blocking your true self. Ignorance, not knowing truth. Darkness. The ego, the dream character arises. You believe in this character, that's not you. Sleeping and dreaming. You believe that you are asleep and you believe that the dream is real, when your true self is awake, alert, attentive, and aware. May we remind ourselves that we are awake, alert, attentive, and aware. You are awake, alert, attentive, and aware in any moment that you choose to be. And when in that choice, you have freed thyself. Liberation. Ramifications of duality again are evil. Ego, which are gods existing with impunity and no self-responsibility. Gods are pretty much thoughts that exist and believe that they are real. Deception, all is illusion. Creation of the imagination. Mistaking the dream for the real. If everything is being created in a dream, can any of it be real? It means that everything is your imagination. So let us be awareness that the dream is collapsing. Let us be awareness that the dream is collapsing. Let us be awareness that the dream is collapsing, that the dream is collapsing, that the dream is just collapsing. Let us be awareness that the dream is collapsing. Let us be awareness that the dream is collapsing. Let us be awareness that the dream is collapsing, that the dream is collapsing, that the dream is just collapsing. This was a chant that came one night, waking up from the dreams. And it seems to be a call from the true self to remind me that the dream is collapsing. In every moment that I recognize that truth, it is such. Mental illness. What is the mind? The dangers of the mind. Mental illness within the consciousness beings. mental illness with human beings, healing the mind, how to purify and care for the mind, a call for self-unity, dissolution of all beings. All beings outside of the self, that is. There is only one state of being, and that is awareness. Everything else is the imagination of awareness. What is the mind? The mind is thought, words, imagination, memory, magnetic energy. It carries a positive charge. Powerful tool to bring things into manifestation. Consciousness and its diminutive consciousness as baby consciousness. Thought processing center operates like an antenna, receiving and sending data and frequencies. So this is why it's to be careful what thoughts you allow in the mind, because it's going to begin to reflect that. There's a pretty illustration for what the mind is. Imagine it as a castle guarding a princess, something very sacred. It could be a princess, it could be a treasure, your wife, your children. They are in this castle. The castle is the boundaries of the mind. The castle is actually what we have constructed as awareness to protect the mind. But if we just allow anything to pass through our mind, then it becomes corrupted and in a state of dis-ease. So therefore, it is a responsibility to make this mind still. It's just like if you got a bunch of rowdy people coming into your house. They got dirt on their shoes. They've been rolling around in mud, and we just let them come in our house and make it all dirty. Our house is going to be in a state of dis-ease and illness. So it's not the house that is corrupted, now that this house has become a place of stress for our family, for our treasure, for our queen. It's not the house's fault. It's the self's fault. It's our lack of responsibility as a creator in this duality world to maintain our house still and at peace. So let us castrate the egos that have come into our mind and return ourselves, return the mind to true self, to true reality, peace and stillness. Again, the dangers of the mind are falling into a black hole. When you fall into the black hole of the mind, there is no coming out for you. Only dissolution can free you from that predicament. Dissolution, to dissolve. You know, it's not really a coming up. It's a release. You don't have to do anything. You just got to let go. Let go of all these attachments. Let go of your ego self. Let go of who you think you are, what you think you have to do. Because who is thinking that? Who is doing? Who am I? Can you sit in stillness with that question alone? Who am I? Please know that any thoughts that pop up are not you. Ask those thoughts. Where do you come from? Return from whence you have came. And remain in that stillness, that awareness. Maybe you won't even send the thought away, but just remain in awareness of all that is. Because all that is imagination if it's not thyself. Who am I? Just carry this question with you. It is actually a rhetorical question, is actually a tool. It's a tool to maintain a state of being. It is an inquisitive statement. A statement is a state of mind. So we are keeping our mind in inquisitiveness, which will deny it the opportunity to entrap itself inside of a false identity. The mind wishes to answer things based on its own limited awareness and consciousness. Hence why the practice of self-inquiry is such a liberating and enlightening tool for us as we choose to return to non-duality. Who am I? Can you sit with that question without response? Who am I? And allow all the limitations of your being to dissolve into the nothingness from which it came. Who am I? Oh. I invite you to question yourself and to carry this question as a treasure more cherished by you than any statement in the world. Who am I? Like, and get lit, like get excited. Who am I? And revel, celebrate, dance, be still in the infinite expanse of your beingness as pure, true, real awareness. May we seal these sounds, these truths with the sacred sound. Asom. Asom. Now it's your turn. The mind is very impressionary and is governed by habits. Please be mindful of the habits you are developing. Mental illness, the dangers of the mind. I'm just seeing like a CSI, what is it, like Law and Order CSI or something like that. And it's like, dum dum. Because like every scene of this life is an example of the mental illness of the mind. Every little perception in the world of duality is an example of mental illness. So every little scene, just imagine you walking outside, every little step, every little thought, every little perception, dun dun, like the Law and Order, CSI, dun dun, dun dun, dun dun. That's when you start to recognize that we're in the Truman Show, and we created it. Well, not we, but this mind. The mind is dangerous. What is the mind? The mind is thought, words, imagination, magnetic particles. It's a powerful tool to bring things into manifestation within duality. So we're not hating on the mind. The mind is a tool. And when used properly, there's nothing wrong with it. But let us become aware that we are not this dream that the mind has created, or that the mind is a creation of. It is actually diminutive consciousness. The mind is a lesser consciousness when you identify with it. Please let the mind be what it is, and that is pure. It has no essence. It is a reflective mirror. So be careful what you're thinking, be careful with your words, be careful of your imagination, because you are either polluting or decorating magnanimously the mind. Either you have a castle or a crack house. You got a castle mind or a crack house mind? Is your mind like the Garden of Eden, or is it like these rivers that they dumping shit in all the time. Hajboom, purify thyself. Mental illness, the dangers of the mind. Are we doing like loops? Falling into a black hole. So we can never be reminded too much because it's so easy to forget. Like we could be speaking these truths. I'll speak for myself or for this self. It's easy to resonate with this truth when it's on thy mind because it is a responsibility. So whenever we are engaged in truth, truth exists and we receive the benefits of it, which are awakeness, alertness, attentiveness, and awareness. But as soon as we take our mind off the truth, it is easy for us to backslide. Backsliding from the Lord is what they say in Christianity. But we as conscious beings returning to non-duality know that there's only backsliding from the self, the one true self that alone exists. Along the monuments of ancient temples, they said, know thyself. And there is no end goal to knowing of thyself. It is a constant remembering. Illustrated by Auset, putting together Ausar, remembering thyself, putting yourself back together, which is truly already whole. But in duality, we have created this symbol to help you remember this fact that you are already whole, you are already yourself. Allow the mind to dissolve off of you, off of your true self. Think of Spider-Man and Venom and Carnage, those extraterrestrial villain characters in the Spider-Man universe. They had like this black stuff take over their body. That's the fucking mind, guys. It even came from the moon. That's the mind that took over Venom's body, that took over Peter Parker's body when he allowed it to, corrupting him, his own intentions, hiding him from his true self. So it's like a really powerful image for me to remember what this mind it can be. But what did it take? If you remember the animated Spider-Man from like 1997, the way to defeat Venom was to ring the bell. When Peter Parker began ringing that bell, Venom was like going crazy. He was like going bonkers, like, I can't handle the vibrations. Stop. Hajboom, the sacred sounds are so powerful. So as we come to realize and recognize and feel lies and surrender to the truth, to the power of sound. Let me give you another one. In stillness. May we Om. Thank you. And sit in stillness. And let that be your habit. Let stillness be your habit. So the mind can become very obsessive with its false identity. It has to be obsessive by nature in order to sustain its false identity. Because as soon as someone surrenders their identity, it's going to be hard to return to it. You have to intentionally put that together. Or someone creates an inception in your mind and allows it to sprout. So yeah, the mind is obsessive to sustain itself in those false identities. It dwells in the past and in the imagination, never in the present moment. The dangers of the mind. Again, It's forming habits. It can become very obsessive. Is there a way I could give a little bit more lighting? Let's do this here. Hashabon. Hallelujah. For solutions, dissolution, mental illness within the consciousness beings. Mental illness begins with consciousness beings. All beings suffer from mental illness. What is the cause of mental illness? False identity. The mind believes that it is a true self, and that is not true. And this is why we, in today's time, we have rediscovered or recognized again, because it's not the first time, the power of the statement, I am. I am this. I am powerful. I am confident. I am beautiful. I am a billionaire. I am this. I am that. Really, we prostituting this I am stuff, because who am I? And if I am, why do I need to limit myself all the time? Just being one thing. I am everything. So it's a mental illness. It can be positive, definitely, because we are creating within this duality realm. So it is beneficial to say, I am awake. I am full of energy, when the mind tries to trick me into believing that I am tired. I am full of energy. That is a positive affirmation. And it makes me a being that is full of energy. But it also creates the dualistic perspective that I am not. So that's just something to keep in mind, a mindfulness of how the mental illness can begin within any being that chooses to create as the I am consciousness within the realm of duality. Duality is the mental illness. And duality is the cause of mental illness. Consciousness is very sick and needs to be healed here in this duality world. Again, the dangers of the mind. Habit forming can become very obsessive, prone to mental sickness, tranced and veiled in the loop of the imagination, easily becomes a tool of deception, falling into the black hole of the mind, the point of no return, utter madness, tricksters, and a tool of manipulation. So we're going into the gods, and as we come upon the top of the hour, I wish to bring us into a sacred pause and our final calling. Thank you so much for joining us in this morning devotion, especially as my first time leading it, as I begin to learn, as you are also learning. It is beautiful for us to learn together and return to the same point, which is the true self. It's time for liberation of the self. It's time to set the one true being free here in duality. Dissolve the mind and allow this dream to collapse.